Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Mental Breakdowns podcast. My name is Zoe, with you on episode 4, where we go and break down the different types of recovery programs, because there is more than one. Or there are more than one. Something like that. All right, enjoy the episode, you guys. I had a blast. I hope you will too. All right, back to the show. Testing, testing. Welcome to the Mental Breakdowns podcast. My name is Zoe. I will be your host today. Your only host today. It is another solo episode. I did have an interview lined up for you guys, but they had some other issues pertaining to the recovery, so they'll go ahead and explain that themselves when we finally do get to sit down with them. But it's cool. We're going to have a good time anyway with our episode on recovery programs. I know I said last week that we'll keep it short and sweet, and it was damn near the same length as all the other episodes, but today we actually will keep it short and sweet, and I'll get into more of that when we get into our topics. But now is our current news and events, or just news and events. I'm kind of leaning more towards the positive stories. I really like the positive stories that we introduced last week. So here we go with a study out of Britain saying that feeling happier and less stressed is a big benefit of dancing. Say 80% of people. Which, when I just hear that off the bat, is kind of like a no shit. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't know. I don't know how you didn't know that. Yeah, I love dancing, and that's probably why people are always looking at me like, are you really dancing? But little do they know I'm looking right the fuck back at them, like, why aren't you?
Beyonce's literally playing right now.
Anyway, going more into this, a survey of 2,000 British adults found that 3/4 feel happy after shimmying around their home. What the fuck is shimmying? The Britons are... And almost half went as far as to say they feel their mental health is better as a result of the activity. The poll, commissioned by Zumba, found 67% wished they could dance more often, although 41% admitted they were quite bad or appalling at it. Not that that matters so much. I don't know what the hell bad dancing is. Well, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. But at the same time, if you're by yourself or in the comfort of your own home, are you really judging yourself that much where you just can't dance by yourself in any way you see fit? Psychologist Dr. Peter Lovett said, quote, when we move our body, it releases different neurochemicals. The opioid receptors, become more active, and that means our pain threshold increases. We feel less pain when we dance. Okay, I didn't know that part. Nearly 4 in 10, 37%, even said that moving to music helps them forget all their troubles, with 42% believing dancing allows them to lose themselves in a positive way, I'm guessing in this case. Well, that's really awesome. Shout out to the Brits for that's such a British freaking study. Oh, we found out that dancing helps improve your mood. I don't know. I don't know if that's stereotypical Britain always. I don't know. Let me try going to the country first before I try to make any assessments on the British people. All right, next story out of Egypt. I just like this one because I love mummies. I love archaeological, old, historical shit. Egypt just discovered 27 sealed coffins in an ancient cemetery that were buried 2,500 years ago. Yeah. The wooden sarcophagi, okay, are exquisitely painted and still bear their original hieroglyphs. The most exciting part for Egyptologists, bear with me, though, is that an initial analysis shows these caskets, thought to be more than 2,500 years old, have not been opened since they were buried. So maybe these ones didn't get touched by grave robbers. Um, yeah. Archaeologists are currently working to determine the origin of these caskets. More details are expected to be announced by the ministry this month. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was just telling one of my housemates I really want a fossil um, of anything. Fossil of a plant, snail, fish, um, anything but dung, I guess. No fossil dookie. Um, because I just think that would be the coolest thing in the world to have something in your living room or your room or your hallway, just something in your home um, that is just so old and that was once alive millions of years ago, and it's like you got that small little portal, time portal back to a time where, in a lot of cases, us humans weren't even around. I just think that's the coolest thing ever, and I'm really surprised I don't freaking have one by now. Fun fact: me and my cousins actually found a fossil in our backyard in Pacifica, California. Um, for some reason, we wanted to crack open a rock, so we cracked open this smooth egg-shaped looking rock with a sledgehammer, and lo and behold, inside was this, I would say about the size of your hand, although my hand was smaller back then, but it was this moderately sized snail right inside this rock, this random ass rock that we just decided to hit because we were kids. Um, I think a great aunt ended up throwing that away because she thought it was just a rock, and so she thought it was trash one day when she was cleaning up her room, and yeah, that was our chance at fame, and it's somewhere in the landfill, but I don't know. Someone will probably find it again. Anyway, all right. Our next and last story, which I thought was the most coolest and saved for last. The first drag queen was a former slave. Now, this actually got attention in the beginning of the year. This article is dated January 31st, 2020 by Channing Gerard Joseph. Um, this first drag queen and a former slave also fought for queer freedom a century before the events in Stonewall. Um, all right, I'm just going to read a little snippet of the article. It's just fascinating. His name was William Dorsey Swan, but to his friends he was known as, quote, the Queen, end quote. Both of those names had been forgotten for nearly a century before I rediscovered them while researching at Columbia University. Born in Maryland in 1860, Swan endured slavery, the Civil War, racism, police surveillance, torture behind bars, and many other injustices. But beginning in the 1880s, he not only became the first American activist to lead a queer resistance group, he also became, in the same decade, the first known person to dub himself a, quote, queen of drag, end quote, or more familiarly, a drag queen. In 1896, after being convicted and sentenced to 10 months in jail on the false charge of, quote, keeping a disorderly house, end quote, which a euphemism for running a brothel, Swan demanded, and was denied, a pardon from President Grover Cleveland for holding a drag ball. This, too, was a historic act. It made Swan the earliest recorded American to take specific legal and political steps to defend the queer community's right to gather without the threat of criminalization, suppression, or police violence. When I tell people I'm writing a book about the life of a former slave who reigned over a secret world of drag balls in Washington, D.C. in the 1880s, the looks of shock, delight, and even confusion on their faces tell me all I need to know. Um, yes. Yes, and one yes. My research on Swan began 15 years ago when I stumbled upon a Washington Post sidebar. Who the hell knew the Washington Post was that damn old? I don't know. It might have just been me. Anyway, when I stumbled upon a Washington Post article from April 13th, 1888, the headline leaped off the page, quote, Negro dive raided, 13 black men dressed as women surprised at supper and arrested, end quote. According to another news account, More than a dozen escaped as the officers barged in and Swan tried to stop them, boldly telling the police lieutenant in charge, quote, "You is no gentleman," end quote. In the ensuing brawl, the Queen's, quote, "gorgeous dress of cream-colored satin," end quote, was torn to shreds. The fight was also one of the first known instances of violent resistance in the name of LGBTQ rights. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. 13 black men dressed as women surprised at supper and arrested. That's a beautiful thing. They're just like really doing them, having supper in their dressed to the nines in whatever way they wanted to, in whatever way they felt comfortable. And whoever snitched on them, shame. Yeah, I said it. Shame on you. No. Anyway, hats off to Mr. William Dorsey Swan, aka the Queen, the first known drag queen in America, also a former slave. Alright, now let's get back to our topic of the episode, which is recovery programs. And the reason I said this was going to be a shorter episode is because I don't have that much experience with these other types of programs that I'm about to list. I've heard about them in somewhat moderate detail, just being around the rooms of AA and all that other stuff, recovery related. But actually going into them and actually practicing them or talking to someone that was in them, not so much. So I just want to put this information out there because I feel like a lot of people or most people think it's either AA or nothing, or NA or nothing, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. I thought it was only NA or AA or nothing back in 2017-ish. So, so I listed three different types of recovery programs. The first is 12-step based, which is the most popularly known. The second one is SMART recovery, and then the third one is Dharma. Okay, so yeah, when we get back from our break, I'll go ahead and break down each of those, what they are, what they stand for, what they do, and my experience, if any, in relation to them. Alright, be right back after this break. You are listening to the Mental Breakdowns podcast with myself, Zoe, along with others, as we try to break down the mental health issues of our day using our own experiences along with textbook definitions. Catch us here on whatever platform you may be using every Thursday night for new episodes. Thanks. Let's get back to the show. All right, welcome to the Mental Breakdowns podcast. We are back. All right, let's get down to these recovery programs. The first off, most commonly known, is the 12-step based programs. These are your NAs, Narcotic Anonymous, AAs, Alcoholics Anonymous, CAs, Cocaine Anonymous, HA, Heroin Anonymous. I think they might have an Opioid Anonymous. Not sure, don't quote me on that. Do your own research on that. But this is the most popular one, the most heard about, the one that comes to mind when you ask a random person on the street. They're called 12-step based because there's 12 steps involved with the program, and it's those 12 steps that you quote unquote work in order to get your life back on whatever track it needs to be back on. I wouldn't go as far as saying that they're religion based. Yes, the word God is used in them, Quite a lot. Quite a lot. I did have an issue with the word God when I first got to the rooms. Um, I was already like kind of not willing, already kind of resentful that I even had to go to these AA, NA. So when I'm sitting there and I'm in my little attitude, and I'm actually trying to make it work and trying to hear what these guys have to say, and then they drop the word God on me, God, God, and it's just like little. I've told people before it was just like little stabs in the side. Not stabs. I don't want to be dramatic, but like just little pokes. Like why does this have to be a part of this? Can't this just not be a part of this? But without getting into too much detail on uh, Alcoholics Anonymous or NA in particular, it's it's not religion based because it's a God of your understanding. And for some people, they use the good old outdoors (God) as their higher power. They use the fellowship, their community, they're in the room as their higher power. It's literally just anything that has more power than yourself. Um, which, when we think about it, is a lot of things. So that's that. It's not It's not talking about Jesus. They're not affiliated with any specific religion. Um, they're just talking about God in a higher power sense of the word, a greater connection to something other than ourselves, right? That bondage of self, that self obsession. Um, 12 Steps has a lot of branched off, a lot of programs that are branched off from the main Alcoholics Anonymous. Second most popular, I would say, is NA, Narcotics Anonymous. Um, I'm in Narcotics Anonymous right now. I didn't start off. I started off in AA because that was just what was closest to me at the time. But I'm in A right now with a sponsor who's in NA. That's why he has me working out the NA book. And a part of my story, narcotics is the majority of my story rather than alcohol. So even though both are, alcohol is a drug. Anyway, um, so I'm working NA. The thing about NA, Narcotics Anonymous, is its text. It was created, I believe, in the 70s. Don't quote me, don't shoot me. Um, so when you have the original big book of Alcoholics Anonymous written in 1939, or at least published in 1939, and then you have NA written in the 70s, decades later, the words used in it, it's a lot easier to digest. It's a lot more modern. It's a lot more up to date with its wording and terminology, and it's you it. I've gotten tripped up a lot of times on the big books uh, word. It's their vocabulary in there because it's really like, I don't know, some parts of it is like Game of Thrones type levels of like what. Um, but yeah, so the NA is a little more updated. They also have SA, sexual Sex Anonymous or Sexaholics Anonymous. They also have OA, Overeaters Anonymous or Food Anonymous, or yeah, no, Overeaters Anonymous. They also have Gambling Anonymous. Another one off the 12 step is Al-Anon, which is for friends and family of people suffering or affected by alcohol or substance use disorder. So what Al-Anon does is you basically meet with other people that are friends and families of people suffering, and what those meetings do is just give you a sense of community and gives you a sense of tools, or gives you a set of tools to better handle the situation that is your loved one suffering from uh, alcohol or drug dependence. And that was actually started by the AA's founder, Bill W. It was his wife that started Al-Anon when she noticed that there was a bunch of other wives that shared similar experiences to her and realized that they needed their own meeting to deal with the craziness that we bring sometimes. All right, our second group, or second recovery program is Smart Recovery. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Smart Recovery is like process groups, and process groups is where it's like a therapy thing where you sit in a group and you have one facilitator, usually a psychiatrist or a psychologist, like a therapist, and you guys basically just go around bouncing or checking in and bouncing ideas off each other. Um, yeah, but it's more like a check-in, um, and I think that's really cool. Smart recovery. There's no religion involved. It's science based. It says on its website. So even though 12 step isn't really religion based either, and there's still the word God in there, Smart Recovery does not have the word God in there. Their mission, according to their website, says to empower people to achieve independence from addiction problems with our science based 4-point program. And I can't say 4-point program without reading the 4 points, right? All right. 1. Building and maintaining the motivation to change. 2. Coping with urges to use. 3. Managing thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in an effective way without addictive behaviors. And then 4. Living a balanced, positive, and healthy life. So that they just like the 12-step programs, they have meetings that people can attend free at charge. I forgot to mention that about the 12-step. Actually, all the groups, all 3 groups that I'm mentioning, all 3 programs are all free. There is no cost associated with them. They do ask for donations, usually at the end of their meetings, pass around a hat or a bucket, just to deal with like coffee and cookie costs, maybe rent for the building or facility or church that they may be using. But there's no pressure. These things are absolutely free. And even if like Smart Recovery or the 12 Step or any of these might hold their meetings in churches, that doesn't mean at all that they're affiliated with any one religion. Um, Sometimes a church is just the only place available for a meeting. So yeah, Smart Recovery is science based. They're more like process groups. Um, it's free and it's abstinence based, so it's not the harm reduction route, but it's people that want to work on not using, period. Not cutting down, but just not using, period. They also, interesting thing that I didn't know till today, Smart Recovery does not use labels like addict or alcoholic. We teach scientifically validated methods designed to empower you to change and develop a more positive lifestyle. So yeah, Smart Recovery does not use labels like addict or alcoholic. Um, Smart Recovery, they also have a website, just like a lot of 12 steps. So if anyone's interested in finding meetings or anything like that, check out their website, Smart Recovery. All right, our last and especially not least is Dharma. Where's Dharma? Recovery Dharma. So Recovery Dharma is, they use a Buddhism approach. They use the Buddha practices, or Buddhist practices, of meditation, compassion, community, to help. To help overcome a lot of addiction issues, and of course, they don't, like the 12 step. They also don't limit it to just substance or alcohol use. Um, they 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 encourage people to come in, whether it's caused by substance use or process addictions like codependency, gambling, eating disorders, relationships, technology, or any obsessive or habitual pattern that creates suffering. This is according to their website. We found that this Buddhist inspired path can lead to liberation from the suffering of addiction, and we support you in finding your own path to recovery. I actually really want to try this. I really want to try the Smart Recovery one too. But while in residential treatment, I really took a liking to Buddhism and their principles and their practices. So I've had it on my list for a while to check out the Dharma recovery groups around the East Bay where I'm located, but uh, COVID kind of screwed all that up. But that's no excuse. I'm sure they have Zoom meetings that I haven't even looked into, but uh, just the idea of meditation and still getting my fix for recovery is yeah, it's appealing. The smart recovery too, I also want to try. So yeah, I'm in the 12 step, but there are also smart and Dharma programs that I also want to check out. Meaning, my point being is you don't have to just pick one and stick to just one for the duration of your life. You know, like you or I rather have the power to choose any program that works best for me. And right now it's NA, but I don't know what it's going to be in a year. I don't know if it might be Recovery Dharma in a year or it might be Smart Recovery in a year. But I definitely don't think I'm going to stick with one. Because I see a lot of things I like from each and every program that I want to take and make into my own program. Um, I'm gonna make my own tailored program that takes stuff from all of these, and in a way, I'm already doing it with my meditation, but I definitely want to go into it further and deeper, um, just so I have the best shot at doing what I do and doing what I want to do and doing what I need to do. Um, all right, so after this short break, we will be back where I will wrap up with gratitude and we will take it on out. This is Zoe with a friendly reminder. If anyone has any questions regarding mental health issues that they'd like us to answer with our own experience on future episodes, go ahead and leave a comment on whichever platform you may be listening to, or you can send me a personal message either through text or Instagram or what have you. I can't promise we'll answer every single one, but we sure as hell will try. All right, thanks. Back to the show. That was a loud one. All right, we're back. Brack? All right, we're back on the Mental Breakdowns podcast. Wrapping up, just in conclusion, the main point of this episode was just to show that there's more than one way to do this. There's options, and it doesn't have to. If you have issues with the word God or anything, religion having to do with religion or organized religion, it's more spirituality than religion. Um, and that sounds like a great freaking episode. Spirituality versus religion. I'm writing that down right now. But yeah, the going back to the main, there isn't one way to do this. So I hope people can take that away. And if they know anybody that doesn't want to necessarily go to 12 step, um, I hope this information can reach them, that there's something for people who maybe want to get into Buddhism, or if they just want to go straight to something that's science based, there's smart recovery. And if I don't know, if you want to just go old fashioned, 12 step is also great. All right, one thing I'm grateful for, gratitude. One thing I'm grateful for, it would have to just be the basics. Okay, this might be cheating, but just like a roof over my head, I do have money in the bank, I do have food in my stomach, and clothes on my back, and people that care for me. Okay, that's five. But yeah, just the basics. I have everything I absolutely need right now, and just sitting in that, sitting with that, knowing that my needs are met, it makes it easier to let go of all my wants. And that's what I'm continually trying to do as I grow in this life, is just um, keep desires in check and really question the desires and what's behind me desiring this whatever. Is it because it's the shiniest latest thing, or is it because I need to establish myself as this type of person or that type of person? Yeah, I don't want it. I mean, I want it, but I don't want it. You know what I mean? No? Okay. Alright, that was our episode on recovery programs. I hope you guys join us next week, Friday. I promise you I will have a interviewee, I think it's called. Yes, I will have an interviewee next episode, so please tune back, same time, same place, next Thursday night. This is Zoe signing off. Thank you for joining us yet again. Alright, have a great weekend, guys. I'm out. Alright, and that was our episode 4 on recovery programs for the Mental Breakdowns podcast. That was cool. But you know what's going to be even better is going to be next week's episode. Episode 5, where we will have our first interviewee of the podcast series. So I'm excited for that one. I hope you guys will be there. Same time, same place. Next Thursday night, around like 8 o'clock. Alright, shouts out to my moms, because I love her. Love you. Alright. Night.